Empire.
Heel back to Hachimura. Konnichiwa.
First off, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
It was more just shocking to hear from him and understanding that he gets the most assists from me and the most spoon-fed baskets ever.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
To sit up there and to say you don't have a culture problem in the nation's capital, everything about the organization points to a culture issue.
One guy took a in another guy's shoe.
I'm a little pissed off about it, but I know how I am. I was kind of expecting it. It's disrespectful.
It was like Eric Killmonger going for total domination. What hug is mine?
We're not going to be fucking sunk this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
Thank you for joining us today. We are the Beltway Sports Bros. I'm Matt Vazana, and as always, my brother Noel. Hey, Noel, got some news for you.
Good or bad?
Good for me. We'll see.
Oh, yeah? I'm sure it'll be delightful then.
Yeah. So I'm going to be on the Believe in Wizards podcast on Friday. Hey, I'm going to be on 2 podcasts in one day. Is that some kind of a record?
Wow, look at you. Oh, you're on the Moderno show. Oh, interesting.
With our old friend Matt. And
nice.
And don't forget about former Wizard Larry Hughes will be on there, so I'll be talking to him as well.
Big shot. Apparently. Oh, good for you. Making it big. Just leaving me in the dust, I guess. Interesting.
Apparently, I'm going to be able to ask Larry anything, which, you know, I'd love your input, of course. I mean, you won't actually be on the show, but I'd love...
Fuck no. No, I'm not invited on. I'm not doing a damn thing. Kidding me? You're on your own, partner. Let's see if Pippen can carry it.
Hey, Pippen's one of the all-time 50 greatest players.
Oh, yeah?
Dream teamer. Highly underrated. Anyway, let me get through this real quick. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook group. Just search Beltway Sports Bros. You can also find us at beltwaysportsbros.com. Also, if you're listening to this show right now, which obviously you are, please hit the subscribe or follow button so you don't miss a single episode going forward. All right. Speaking of Wiz, let's start with the Wizards.
The Wiz.
Yeah, I got to get back into it. I got a big day on Thursday.
Yeah, you do. You got to prime yourself. I'll try not to give away too much information here, you know, or try not to get in your way, I guess.
That's probably smart.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing big things here, Noel. You know, just take a step back.
Try not to hold you back here, partner.
Well, let's talk about their salary cap situation, shall we? So, according to an article from Slam, which is actually kind of surprising to me, well, number one, they're expecting Davis Bertans back, which I'm still a staunch believer that that's not going to happen. It also said that even with signing Bertans, the Wiz will be about $35 million under the luxury tax, so they could actually be players in free agency, which, you know, we've been saying all season long, and pretty much everybody's been saying they don't have a chance in hell of signing anybody but Bertans. It kind of excites me a little bit, you know?
It should.
The idea of actually signing somebody other than the shit backups that they have, and possibly, I'm not saying they're going to be able to sign Anthony Davis or anything, but...
We've been talking about, you know, getting a mid-grade maybe 3 or bringing back Trevor Ariza or something like that. We're not talking about something outlandish here, but just room to make some moves for pieces that can fill the puzzle. You know, role players are still good as well. You don't need to have the big 3. They're going to have their quasi-big 3 if they sign Bertans. Now you need pieces that can just plug in different lineups.
Looking at the list here, I mean, Kelly Olynyk's going to be available. Remember him? Crushing our dreams with the Celtics.
I don't want him.
You don't want him? All right. No. Well, hey, Serge Ibaka possibly.
What are you, like, doing window chopping over there?
Hey, Otto Porter's available again. What do you think about that? No good?
Yeah. I'm good with watching a fucking guy that has athletic ability stand at the fucking 3-point line like an idiot for 3 quarters.
Oh, you loved Otto. You said they didn't use him well.
They didn't. He should have come off the bench. I said that a million times, and they did that with like 30 games left. Going back to the salary cap thing, this is good news for the Washington area. One little piece of good news. Hopefully they use it well. Getting Bertans, I always thought that if they had the room, they had the potential to get him back. I think he wants to be here if they can pay him right, because he's a Euro. Beyond that, if they can bring in a couple pieces, like I said, an Ariza type or a Caldwell Pope, not going crazy with some other additional piece. I mean, shit, they've been talking about even, you know, the pipe dream of DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think he's going to bring a whole lot of money to it. So there's room for that option as well. Now they can bring back the guys like Pasa Sneaks, and they can bring back Bonga at guaranteed money. There's also other guys that were serviceable to this team. Bryant needs a backup, right? I mean, you got Wagner, who can play the 4 and the 5, but Pasasneaks is a pure 5. I think he's a serviceable backup, and he can play when Bryant isn't going to make it for the whole season. He never does. So, and big guys usually don't. So if he plays like 60 games, Pasasneaks can be serviceable for the remainder and give him a little bit of guaranteed money. Throw the dude a bone.
I'd like to see MKG. I don't think he's a great player, but I think he's kind of a glue guy that could actually play some defense, which they desperately need, rebound.
Sure.
Wouldn't need anything from him on the offensive side. And I think that he'd be the right price. He's not going to need a ton of money, or he's not going to demand a ton of money.
No, he doesn't deserve a ton of money. He's a guy that you're not going to have the expectation of scoring, which they don't need from him. He's a versatile guy that can guard 2, maybe 3 positions on the court, and is a good on the second unit as well. This is all about the 3. What their confidence is in Troy Brown, what their confidence is in Bonga, and those guys. They really need a 3. They really need a small forward. They need to go out and find one regardless of what range it is. We're not talking about the Oladipos, you know what I mean, and shit like that. Let's not get delusions of grandeur here because they got a little extra change. Let's just get a guy that can go in there and D somebody up because they got nobody on this team that can play defense.
MKG's my guy. All right, well, speaking of the Wiz, this is some interesting stuff here. So yesterday, Wizards guard John Wall, remember him? He actually still plays on the team.
Well, last time we talked about him, he was at the club.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yes, he was. This time, he was at his house, but he appeared on Monday Tailgate on ESPN, and he was interviewed to discuss his well-documented love for the Dallas Cowboys. The funny thing was, he wasn't really listening to the interviewers who were Field Yates and Jason Fitz because he was playing a game of spades.
It was great, man.
You really have to watch it to get the full
you should really check it out. Really check it out.
But he was basically multitasking, playing spades while doing this interview about the Cowboys. He was doing all right for a little bit, kind of halfway answering, and then eventually he got distracted and asked them to repeat the question. It was just a very asshole-ish thing to do. It's not like he didn't know the interview was coming up. He didn't just get called for it. Hey, let's give John Wall a call about the Cowboys out of nowhere.
Yeah, they didn't just like pop up on his FaceTime.
It was like, bling, bling. It's like, who dis? But you know, you couldn't pause your game for 5 minutes, really, to talk about this shit. I mean, you obviously agreed to do it.
Right.
These are respectable guys. Like, Field Yates, he is one of the more respected analysts on ESPN for the NFL. And this guy's just like, whatever. It was embarrassing.
I thought it was fucking great. He was like pointing to the guy like, give me a card. Like, well, and he asked him to repeat the question. The funny part is not that Wall was just being a dick that didn't give a shit, which was awesome. It was the fact that these guys were still trying to plug through the interview. Like, hey, did you, who trash talks about football in your locker room? He's like, what? Nobody. Like, give me another card.
The worst part about that was that he said they just follow the players around. They're not real fans. Really? You're a Cowboys fan, asshole. He probably never stepped foot in Dallas before he played the Mavericks. So give me a fucking break. The guy's from North Carolina. So You're the real fan? Come on.
I don't even know why they had him on the show for that shit anyway. The questions were so stupid. Like, what do you think about the Dak situation? He's like, dude, he was so not interested in the conversation. It was great. And you know when these guys got off, they were like, are you fucking kidding me? You could see them looking straight at the camera and saying, don't make any gestures that make you look irritated at the fact that this guy's playing a game of cards while we're trying to do a legit interview with this guy.
Hey, they were professionals through and through, though.
They were.
It's not like they got called to get on the Beltway Sports Bros or something. You know, they were on a legitimate show. I mean, I'd like to say we're legitimate, but I don't know if we'll get John Wall anytime soon.
I mean, I guess we'll be legitimate now. You're going on Moderno's show.
That's right.
Yeah.
Making things happen.
But look, John, I really like him. I really do. He just makes it hard on himself.
Yep.
And after the gang sign thing, he was on such a good track with working out, getting himself in shape, doing play-by-play during the games when he was injured and, you know, would come out and do play calling during a quarter. And he was just out there doing stuff, the charity work. Then he does the gang thing. And this one's lighthearted. Who gives a shit? It's just him being an asshole. Yeah. And most people took it as a laugh. I'm taking it as a laugh. I thought it was hilarious, especially the way these guys reacted to it, like two geeks, like, what's this guy doing while we're trying to interview him? But still, man, just, I don't know. Just stay out of your own way sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. How does this help you? How does this help your reputation? Like I said, you couldn't take 5 minutes away from playing spades to talk to these guys. It's just stupid. It's unnecessary.
Gotta get paid, son. You gotta get paid. Hey.
Apparently he won.
Yeah, apparently he won. Hey, were they gonna pay him? He got paid during that 5 minutes still. They were bullshit. They were getting paid. Why can't he get paid?
Hey, that's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on. Let's talk about some Maryland football, shall we?
MD, go Terps.
So the Terps are opening up their season on Saturday against Northwestern. We're roughly 3 days away from kickoff, and head coach Mike Loxley, he hasn't named a starting quarterback between Tolia Tungviola, easy for me to say. Let's just call him Tua's little brother. We all know little brothers are always better than the older brothers. But,
yes, he's looking that way.
He transferred from Alabama, and Lance Lejeune, they're in a competition right now, apparently, after Josh Johnson opted out because of COVID. I wish more guys had names like Josh Johnson. It'd be a lot easier for me. But he opted out because of COVID. Side note on that, did you see what happened with the Florida Gators?
See ya.
25 COVID cases. Maybe Josh Johnson made a good move on this one.
Hey, welcome back, Big Ten.
Yeah, we missed it.
I mean, it's like one step forward,
25 steps back.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
25? Oh, you gotta love Florida. It's like a different world down there. But anyway, still with the Terps situation, I don't want to get too far off track, but Vegas has Maryland at second worst odds of winning the Big Ten this year with a plus 40,000. On Saturday, they are 11-point underdogs Northwestern. Looks like it could be a solid season.
Is plus 40,000 like the chances of me going to the moon?
It's the chances of you getting on Believe in Wizards.
On Believe in Wizards. Yeah, that's about it.
So, Noel, it's your school, so I'll leave this one to you. How do you think their chances are this year?
Football in the D.C. area is going from bad to worse, my friends. I think that Maryland and Washington are going to compete for worse records.
Think so?
Oh, my gosh.
I would kill for Washington to have 6.5 total wins this year.
Oh, I don't know who the hell Vegas came up with that. I'll give you a breakdown in that in a minute, but just kind of going over the team a little bit. This team is not going to be a good team. They haven't even decided on a quarterback yet, and we're at the 11th hour here. And unfortunately, the strength of this team, and by far their deepest position, is the wide receivers. I mean, they've got some explosive guys. They've got a decent trio. They've got Jones, they've got DeMoss, and they've got Cobbs. And also they have the new guy coming in who was actually a high recruit, Jarrett. So they've got really 4 guys in wide receiver that are really good. Unfortunately, they're not going to have anybody that can throw them the freaking ball or who even know who's going to throw them the ball. So it's really tough. They lost their only 2 running backs that they had that were basically their only offense that was worth a shit last year, McFarland and Leak. They don't have that. So their offense is pretty thin. Their offensive line was jack shit last year, but they have 3 guys coming back, so maybe that's something. But offensively, I think they're going to be probably as bad as Washington is.
Sweet.
Yeah, so... And you have to you're jumping directly into the Big Ten. Unfortunately for them, there's no Howard to beat 79-0 to start the season.
Would they be able to do that anyway?
I don't know. I mean, sorry, I haven't done my scouting on Howard, but I mean, I'm assuming that they would win that game. And they started off the season 2-0. They crushed Howard. They crushed Syracuse. Barely lost to Temple in the third game when they were actually ranked. They were ranked 21st in the country, and then
the wheels fell off.
And then the wheels completely fell off.
Yes.
So you're looking at where they just got completely eviscerated. I mean, they didn't make it over 20 points scoring the rest of the year. And the only game that they were close in was the final game against Michigan State. They barely lost 19-16.
Well, didn't they go to like their 5th quarterback again, as they did?
Oh, my God. Yeah. They were decimated with injuries. And that's one thing. They do have depth because of all the injuries, guys that have played that normally wouldn't. But it's all average depth. And going to the defensive side of the ball, The position that is actually really good on defense is their middle linebackers. They have Campbell, who's the junior. He won out on the starting spot, but they have the 5-star recruit that they got, Ruben Hippolyte. He was beat out for the starting spot, but I guarantee he'll be in at some point in the season. I don't know why they fucking don't start this guy like him. They've got Tareeb Hill still, that's the corner. These are two highly recruited guys. Fuck it, just put them in like this team is good. Just put these guys in and see what happens because they're going to be shit. They really are. They're going to get dominated.
Well, one thing that Loxley is a good recruiter, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
So he's got that going for him just as a actual football coach. That remains to be seen. I mean, Nick Saban thought he was halfway decent, but
we'll defensively, they're ahead of the curve as normally teams are ahead of the offense. But I have a feeling that defenses over the season are going to be dominating this offense a lot. And go into the schedule. Speaking why I laughed at this 6.5, I don't know who the fuck got this number. I have no clue what delusions you found that, but I'm looking at the schedule. They get Northwestern off the bat. Not a good football team, but still, that team always seems to be disciplined.
And they're 11-point underdogs with them, so
they're 11-point underdogs in that game, and the COVID situation is going to be a better scenario for them than it is for Maryland. So I feel that if it were later in the year, maybe they could have beat Northwestern, but since it's right off the bat, that's a loss. Then the gauntlet begins. Then you've got Minnesota, stomp. Great offenses. At Penn State, stomp. Ohio State, stomp. Then here's a questionable one. You've got Michigan State, who's not a good football team. Again, I said they barely lost to them last year. I think that's their first win, is against Michigan State. Then they go to Indiana. Potential second win, but they won't. Then Michigan, loss. And then they play Rutgers, win. So my record for them is they'll beat Michigan State and they'll beat Rutgers. They'll be 2-6. I think that's reasonable. They went 3-9 last year, for God's sakes, and 2 of their wins were against Howard and Syracuse, and they beat Rutgers. So what are we talking about here?
6.5. Something isn't right there. I don't know.
Well, 6.5, considering that they only play 8 games.
Right.
Would they think they're going to, the over-under 6.5? Some people are going to bet that they're going to go undefeated or at 7-1.
Maybe they said 6.5.
I don't know where you got that info. You've been thinking too much about the Believe in Wizard show. Hey, Moderno, you sure you want this guy?
It may be 6.5 losses, perhaps, but I've never seen it put. That's what it is. I've never seen it put that way before. Maybe I misread that, but I'm sure somebody will come out with us and say how wrong I was, and that's okay. You know,
I'm right. I think legitimately, okay. If it's 6.5 losses, it's 6.5 losses. They went 2. I'm saying they're going 2-6.
Right.
Potentially 1-7. Their only saving grace is the Rutgers game, but they could win the Michigan State game.
Yeah, doesn't seem accurate there.
So in the grand scheme of things, Matt, that's what it is. They're not a good football team. It's going to be a long year. If these teams can even fucking make it through it, who the hell knows? But it's just yet another football team in the DC area that's going to be shit. And like I said, I think that Maryland and Washington are going to be competing for who has the worst record.
Support for this podcast comes from AT&T. All right, so there are a lot of reasons to like AT&T 5G. Check this out. My friend Lisa, who's a professional race car driver and base jump wingsuit enthusiast, likes AT&T 5G because it's fast. My friend Terry, who's a bodyguard who once also wrestled a hyena when he got too close to his client on Safari, likes AT&T 5G because it's secure. And my friend Sasha, who's a librarian and hasn't missed a day of work in 27 years. Ooh, not even that time she broke both her legs and had the measles, likes AT&T 5G because it's reliable. Switch to AT&T 5G. It's fast, secure, and reliable. And now nationwide. AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires a compatible plan. 5G may not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for 5G coverage details.
All right, well, speaking of lack of talent, moving on to everyone's favorite football team, Washington has been beat up a little bit at wide receiver this year. Right now, the only truly healthy wide receivers are Terry McLaurin, Dontrell Inman, Cam Sims, and Jeff Badgett, if you know who that is, off the practice squad. With Isaiah Wright and Antonio Gandy-Golden getting nicked up in the last game and are questionable for the Dallas game, I think Gandy-Golden probably has the least chance of playing with them. And then obviously Steven Sims on IR for the next few weeks. Well, the cavalry came in. So late on Tuesday, the team signed Robert Foster off of Green Bay's practice squad. You know, Jeff Badgett, what the hell his name is, He's probably not very pleased right now.
He's like, damn, what am I, chopped liver?
What do I got to do over here?
Yeah, I mean, shit.
Some things that we should mention about Foster, pretty big target. He's 6'2", 196 pounds. He's only 26 years old. He was an undrafted rookie, but had a actually pretty good year in Buffalo his first year. Caught 27 balls for 141 yards. It's a 20-yard average. Seems like a speedy guy. I saw some highlights of him. You know,
did a little research.
You know, getting this in at the 11th hour here. You know, huge signing, huge. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it.
It's what they needed. I'm hoping that he's a character guy.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah. I was hoping that 2 weeks Antonio Brown was coming along. Hell with it, you know? Go all in, man. Go all in. I mean, we were talking about Spades earlier. Put them chips in.
Well, he's just another guy, I guess. Another body, warm body. I mean, that's all
they needed one. And they put themselves behind the 8 ball here, where they were going to need these guys to begin with. We talked about this before the season started, that some of these positions were virtually talentless, and one went down. Then what? And
didn't matter if one went down, Noel. They all suck.
No, I understand, but these guys really didn't even have a fighter's chance to begin with. I mean, there was just no depth, no talent, and no depth to begin with. You're right, and he's just another filler. And who knows if he'll even play or dress. I mean, he might just out of sheer necessity, but what can he possibly do? This passing offense is dog shit to begin with. What are they going to throw him out there for slants?
They'll throw him deep. Yeah, that'd be the fucking day.
Yeah, right.
You know, so
he's going out there running 40-yard routes.
He used to average 20 yards per catch. What do you think? Let's cut that in by a third. He'll be lucky to get that.
Right.
If he plays at all. Really not news here. It's not exactly like trading for Julio Jones or anything, but hey, it's Washington news, and we're here to give it to you.
We're here to give it to you, right. We talked about the Terps, and now we're talking about Washington. It's a dark time in the DMV, man, for football. It really is.
You just now figuring that out?
No.
It's only been 3 decades, Noel.
I know.
You're just waking up.
Doesn't it seem really, really dark? Darker than normal, I guess. You come in with somewhat of expectations, at least with Washington. Well, some did. That they would at least have some type of competitiveness in them, at the very least.
Or at least showing that they're going in the right direction.
Right. And
that's all we could really hope for this
exactly.
year.
We knew that the talent wasn't there. We knew that the depth wasn't there. We knew that there were going to be issues potentially on the offensive line. Shit, Charles went down after 2 plays. Apparently, he had the most amazing 2 plays of any offensive lineman in the history of offensive linemen.
I'll tell you what, he looks the part. He's a monster.
Oh, no, I know. But Rivera was talking him up on those 2 plays like he was fucking Anthony Munoz over here, and he's down, and it's all a bunch of patchwork on top of having no real weapons.
Well, you know what sucks about Rivera, and I know we keep going back to this, but everything that came out of his mouth early on over the offseason, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. You know, I think it really seems like this guy's got it all together. And now it makes me question anything that he said then, and definitely questions anything he says now.
Right.
I just don't think this team's going in the right direction. They don't have really any talent outside of the defensive line, and they're, you know, average at best right now. Where's this team going? Where's Maryland going? Where are the Wizards going?
Right. Well,
where's anybody going?
If you're trying to make a playoff run, which he's talking about, was Robert Foster the answer, or did you want to make a freaking trade? A team that's vying for the playoffs is going for a plug and play, right? They're going for a veteran guy. They're going not even necessarily for an Antonio Brown, but John Ross is vying for a trade. Teams that are vying for a playoff spot, like he's saying, we want to win games, and he's pissed that they're losing. Well, you're not going for a practice squad guy that is an unrestricted free agent that's caught 20 balls. And that's the bottom line of it. This is the type of player that you're getting to see if he's a prospect, if maybe it's lightning in a bottle, or he's just a body during practice. And that's more so what it is, and that's what shitty teams do. Not a team that's vying for a division. Teams that vying for a position is calling up Antonio Brown tomorrow and just seeing if the guy's head isn't up his ass and he isn't being a crazy person and is either off or on his meds and can piece a half a season together. That's what you're doing as a New England or a New Orleans or whomever it is that needs a receiver, an additional receiver that can put them over the hump. So it's very apparent that that's not what the objective is.
Oh, but don't ask Ron that.
Oh, no.
No.
You know, it's funny when people contradict him, and we saw that latest press conference, and he's getting more and more volatile in these things, and he looks like he's in bad shape. He really does.
I really do feel for the guy.
I do feel for the guy, but his energy is going towards contradiction and going towards don't question me. He always has that mentality of, you don't know football, you didn't play the game and all that. And like I said before, put a jersey on. Look, I might not know every single X and O like you do. I will acknowledge that. But I've been watching football since I was about 5 years old. So I know a gist of the game. Yeah, I don't know how to rebuild an engine, but I know if a car is not running well.
Good analogy, Noel.
Sorry, I don't know how to build a carburetor, dude. But I know if my engine is clinking and clanking and it's running like shit. I've driven my car long enough at this point. So I've seen football long enough, and I don't sit there and do Joe Gibbs until 4 a.m. and watch footage. But I do know if a team is looking like shit and it's being coached poorly. So don't tell me that I don't know because I didn't put a fucking helmet on and play professional football. And it's the same with these journalists. How dare you? Okay? Sorry, I don't know how to have a fucking Michelin star at a restaurant, but I know how to cook.
Well, if Rivera was a mechanic, probably wouldn't bring my car to him. That's for sure.
That's for goddamn sure. And then he'd get pissed off that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
It's like Lino.
Yeah, like Lino. Like, sorry, you blew out 2 of my engines. I'm sorry I'm questioning your authority on fucking how to build one. Fucking moron.
To close things out, watching that Cowboys game, I was so fucking pissed. I was like, asshole, all you had to do was kick the goddamn field goal. And we'd be in the driver's seat right now. As sad as that is, that's all he had to do. And here we are. Now we have the second overall pick right now if the draft happened. And all he had to do was kick the fucking field goal. We had all the momentum. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again. I'm just pissed off about it because it was an opportunity. And we've had other opportunities throughout the season. And the guy sucks. I'm so disappointed in this shitty-ass Rivera.
Yeah,
and
I watched the game, and all these teams are reeling in the East. When he talked about he saw the records and said, damn, this freaking division sucks. But as a coach, doesn't that tell you something, though? It's like just being happy that your kid got a C on a test.
Right.
Like, well, you know, hey, ain't an F.
That was strictly his out for Haskins. That had nothing to do with anything else.
I understand. But he's still talking about it, though, and still talking about the opportunities for the playoffs and how the division is and keeps going back to it.
All he should be saying is this. I don't know who the hell we're playing after the Cowboys. I know we're playing the Cowboys. That should be his answer.
That's it.
But this
team is shit, man. Like, to what end? They're a bad football team. They're in a bad division. But at one point, one of these teams is going to start stringing a few games together. It's just inevitable. The division winner isn't going to go 3-13, okay? I mean, I know how everybody thinks that that's going to happen, but it's going to even itself out to a certain extent where one of the teams is going to get their act together just enough, and it ain't going to be Washington.
No. Hey, but Kendall Fuller's pretty good. Could have an all-pro in our hands here.
Good.
And with some positivity there. All right, so that's gonna do it for this episode. We're on all major podcast platforms. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Please share this show on social media. Again, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, and our website, beltwaysportsbros.com. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you Friday.